When I was in elementary school, we had this bully. And for the sake of protecting identities, we're going to call the bully JoJo, okay? JoJo was about 6'5", 300 pounds. 300 pounds, yes, in elementary school. She was about 6'5", 300 pounds. Now, that might be a tad bit exaggerated, but long story short, she towered over us, okay? She was about double our size in weight. And I know she had to be 3-4 years older than us. Like, she was older than us. She was a whole woman. Okay, she always wore this denim set of overalls with one strap, like the one strap hanging off, and she had her hair in one of those fan ponytails. Like, y'all remember the fan? I always wanted a fan ponytail, but my hair would not let me be great. I could never achieve the fan, but I always wanted one. But JoJo wore the overalls with the one strap with the fan ponytail, and JoJo was huge. She was huge, and she was a bully. She would pick on other people. She would poke at other people. She would break them in line, take their food, like all the things, right? Just because she could. Just because she knew all of us were scared of her. The entire class was terrified of her. And I remember one day in PE, one of the fellas in the classroom. Remember, we are in elementary school. I'm not going to reveal the grade because I just don't want to expose too much of JoJo's identity. So we was in elementary school, okay? And we was in PE one day, and one of the fellas, he decided he was gonna be the one who stood up to JoJo that day. And I witnessed JoJo beat this young man with one of the metal baseball bats from practice. We all just stood there and all, because how could this be happening? She beat that young man with that baseball bat. Okay, so we just stayed out of the way. We stayed out of Miss JoJo's way in elementary school because nobody wanted to face this young woman. We did not want to be toe to toe with the whole adult. I remember one day she got in trouble in the classroom, and she had to come sit next to the teacher's desk in the back. Well, my desk was back there next to the teacher's desk, and she was bored back there, so she was getting into all kinds of everything. And she pulled the stapler off the desk, and in her boredom, she decided that my pant legs were entertaining for her, and she started to staple my pant legs together down the side. It was a little roomy. There was a little roomy pair of pants, and she just was stapling, she wasn't saying nothing, just mindlessly stapling my pants down the side. And I'm like, oh, baby, oh, no, she didn't. Oh, no, she did not. Decided she was going to staple my pants. Like, who does she think she is? And y'all want to know what I did? You want to know what I did when she was stapling my pants together? I did absolutely nothing because I had just witnessed this young woman in elementary school beat this poor classmate of mine with a bat. So, honey, if she wanted to staple my pants together, then let stapling be her portion on this day, because just consider them stapled. Do as you please, JoJo. Just do as you please. Don't bother me, staple them. That's fine. The problem with this came in where, now we after school, and I'm in the car with my mama, and me and my mama are headed on over to the Payless. Y'all remember the Payless where you got your shoes? Was there a song for Payless? I don't remember if there was a song for Payless, but we remember the Payless, and we were going to Payless. And my mama is asking about my day, and I don't know why. I decided that I was going to share with her about how JoJo decided that she was going to staple my pants on this here day. That was the biggest mistake I could have made. Because my mom was a thug, and she don't have too many good brain cells when it comes to stuff like this. And yeah, we never made it inside a Payless. My mama said in the parking lot, she said she did what now? And I'm like, Ma, it wasn't that bad. Like, she, I took the staples out. The staples are no longer there. Like, why are you making this a big deal? And my mama backed that car up, and next thing you know, we're on our way to JoJo's house. And I'm petrified. And I'm like, why would you do this to me? Why would you put me in this kind of danger? You don't sense danger, do you, woman? Like, we can't do this. And I know y'all wondering, well, how did you know where JoJo lived? Well, you see, that's the perks of being from a small town. Everybody know where everybody live. So I knew where JoJo lived. So I don't know why I gave my mama the directions, but I told her, and she went on over there. And She must not have a sense of danger. Like, she don't sense dangerous situation, because she rolled up on the situation like, I dare you and your mama and your cousins too. I was terrified. We are at this girl's house. We have pulled up, and my mama is like, come on, get out. I didn't ask to come over here. This was your decision. Why am I getting out the car? Like, you should go handle this situation, not me. I should stay here. What was safe? I think I peed on myself a little bit that day, because what was about to happen? What was about to happen? Was I going to live to tell the story? Like, how were my classmates going to respond when I'm not at school anymore tomorrow? And would they know that I died at the hands of JoJo? I don't know. But we make it to the house. My mom like, come on. And she knocks on the door. And my heart is in my feet. My heart is in my feet. And JoJo's mama comes to the door. Now, she's about double JoJo's size. And in my mind, this is it. This is the end. It was nice knowing you, Ma. Like, I enjoyed this time on earth with you, because there's no way they are letting us leave the same way we came. In Jesus' name, have you seen this woman and her child, who is also a woman? So surprisingly, JoJo's mama was not down for the cause. She was not down for the cause of her daughter being a bully. Like, she fully surprised me. She was like, JoJo, get your tail up here and come to this door and tell this nice woman and her daughter why you were stapling her clothes. And she did that. And, from what I witnessed in this situation, JoJo's mama was her first bully, because the way she was handling JoJo as we stood at this door was, it wasn't nice. And JoJo had a completely different presentation there than she had at school. Like, she was very remorseful. She apologized to me, as her mom told her to do. And then her mom, invited us right there inside of the door. And I saw the condition of JoJo's home, and my heart just sank. I told y'all I'm a little empath. So I immediately was like, oh man, looking at the condition of the house, they were very disadvantaged. I'll say that. So, JoJo's mom, yelled at her, and JoJo apologized to me, and she actually shared, she never really had an issue with me, and she wasn't trying to hurt me in any way. She was just bored and wanted something to do. And I just felt so bad, y'all. And for me, even again, at that young age, I quickly realized, why she was a bully. I saw it. I could see it. I'm like, between the situation in her home, and the way things looked inside of her home, I could tell that it was one of those situations where she was coming to school and she was doing things, either as a release or, as a way to cope with whatever she had going on. Of course, I didn't have this kind of language as a child. I just know I felt really, really bad for her. And I had no more issues from her. And there was this unspoken peace treaty between the two of us. I could tell when we got back to school that she may have had a fear of what I might go back to school and tell people about what I saw and what I witnessed. But I never did, because her secret was safe with me. Welcome to the Breed Black Mom Podcast, where moms of color can come to relax, relate, and release. I'm your host, T. What's up, BBMs and BBLs? Pause. How are y'all feeling this week? I am still on a high from all of your birthday love, all of the wishes you sent me last week. It was definitely the highlight of my day. And shout out to my sister for that thoughtful ending of birthday wishes from some of my nearest and dearest to me. And like she said, just some. There was so many people she didn't even get to feature, and so many people out there who I love, who are near and dear to me, who still sent me lovely birthday wishes. And I got so much love. It was an amazing day. Definitely left a few tears hanging in my eyes to hear that. So shout out to our background producer, editor, flyer. She do all the things. She do all the content. Y'all hit my sister up. She do all the content. If you want her name, hit me up. I'll let you know. But she does all the stuff that you see for Breed Black Mom. That is the mastermind, the creative director behind a lot of that stuff. But also shout out to my husband. Shout out to my husband for making my actual birthday one to remember. He really did that, y'all. He did that. I had an amazing day, and it was thanks to him. So shout out to my husband. Love my husband. Did y'all like my birthday photos? Y'all now have a face to put with the name. So did you like my birthday pictures? Because I had a whole branded shoot for y'all, honey. And you can't tell me not one thing, because T is in her bag. Not financially, because I don't get no coin off of this. But I'm in my confidence bag. I'm in my This is your season bag, girl. And I'm just so excited. And I'm so excited that y'all are here rocking with me as I sit and settle in this bag, like, of who she thinks she is. Because this is who I think I am this year. This is who I think I am this year. And I'm out here with a whole podcast that I was absolutely terrified to do. And a whole audience of people who just been rocking with me and just showing me so much love. And I'm just so excited every week. I tell y'all that I get to sit here and talk to y'all. So we are back this week for episode 13, and I'm excited to get back into our content. That, we got a few more episodes to go before this season ends, but you know how we do. If you haven't already, please follow Breathe Black Mama Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify. But most importantly, don't just follow. Don't just like, share it, subscribe to the podcast on whatever streaming platform you are listening through right now. Lastly, don't forget to leave a review. Tell the people if you're liking this or not. The people being me, she, T. Okay? I cannot stress enough how important it is for you all to subscribe to the show and leave a review. This is important for growing my audience, growing my, platform. My listens have doubled over the past couple of weeks. Like, mind blown. Mine has been blown. I don't know where y'all coming from, who sent y'all, but I'm glad you're here. But the listens have doubled. It's just amazing watching these numbers, but my subscribers still aren't reflecting that. So please, y'all, do your girl a favor. If you're liking what you're hearing, if you're loving it over here, at least the past 4 or 5 shows y'all have been, because these numbers are just booming. Show your support by subscribing and leaving a review on either one of those platforms so people can know that, hey, listen, she giving us some good stuff. Go rock with her over there. All right. Okay, y'all. Let's jump into today's topic. You can't sit with us. So I have kids who are really into the arts. I've mentioned that before in the episodes, but they like singing, dancing, and creating. And Jay, my firstborn, she started singing and dancing and doing all the things that showed me she was really into the arts at a very young age. So naturally, as a parent, when your kids start showing interest in something, you want to support them, right? And as a new mom too, like, you just want your kids to have the best of everything. She was my first. I want the best of everything. I want the best schools. I want the best everything, right? So again, school was no different. I wanted her to have the best. So, well, what was within my control of her having the best when it came to schools? Because we know the coins, honey, the coins. Some of the best schools require some best coins. But what was within my control of her to have? And Jay loved school. Like, it was definitely one of the highlights of her days. She never wanted to miss a day. And as a new mom, like, navigating the school system, when I found out like that there were options out there to combine the two things she loved, which was school and the arts, like, I jumped at the opportunity for her to have something different, or something where she could go to school every day and do what she loved. So I went to a charter school fair, and I came across, magnet schools. And there was this magnet school of the arts where we live. And I had Jay with me that day. So, of course, she sees the little display. She sees all the things that they can do at the school. And she's excited. And after meeting and speaking to some of the staff, they definitely sold the idea of this school. And I'm like, oh, okay. So she begged me, like, to attend. At this point, she's in 2nd grade. She had been in school since kindergarten, so she's in, year 3 of school, and she's like, Mommy, I want to go to this school. I want to go to this school. I was hesitant at first because I don't like change. Like, change is scary to me. It really is. But I'm like, okay, well, it can't be that bad, right? It can't be that bad. All this dope stuff they're offering. My kid loves, them so far, just based off what they were telling her. So long story short, we enrolled her. She gets in for 3rd grade, but it wouldn't be long before I regretted that decision. She was so excited about this school, y'all. Like, just, again, the opportunity for her to dabble into things she loves, music, art, drawing, dance, all of it was just enough for her. So the first day of school comes around, and I'm excited. We're excited. We're praying before we go to school. We're like, hey, what things you want to pray for us in the school? And she wasn't even that anxious. Like, she was super excited. And one of the things she was like, I want new friends. I want help with math this year. My baby never has liked math. All the little superficial things that 3rd graders pray for. So we drop her off. I'm excited all day. I'm anxious all day. I can't wait to get to her and find out what's going on and how her day went. And she was in an after school program at the time, so I wasn't going to get to her around 5, but still excited. I'm hoping for the best, wishing for the best. So my baby hops in the car and I'm like, how was it? How was the first day? Tell me all about it. And she just says horrible and throws her little head in her lap and just cries. Now I didn't start the car at this point because I'm like, hold on. I ain't even left the parking lot. What is wrong? What happened? Like, what happened? So she then proceeds to tell me how she had this horrible first day of school. And as a parent, this is my worst nightmare. I was already nervous about switching her school, where she had an amazing experience, kindergarten through second grade. She never had any issues. We love the teachers. And I'm just like, oh my God, right? So she goes on to tell me that, she just was received well. There were a few girls in the classroom who made it their business this day to make her feel very outcasted. So they wouldn't allow her to sit with them whenever she would go, sit on a carpet. They would all move away from her, typical little stuff you see on TV. She ate lunch alone. Nobody really talked to her at lunch. She didn't make any friends. So at this point, I'm angry. I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm like, what? But I'm also feeling extreme amount of guilt. I'm just, I don't know. I'm feeling all the things, but I'm also trying to normalize the fact that, okay, it's third grade. It's the new kid. T, just calm down. It's okay. It's just the first day. Just the first day. She just has to adjust. One thing about me, I'm very reasonable. I'm going to consider all the sides before I jump off the cliff of conclusions. I'm very reasonable. However, I'm also a very fierce mama bear. So the next morning, where was I at? Standing at the office, bright and early, standing at the office. I needed somebody to talk to me. I needed somebody to explain what happened. So, they notified the teacher. I made my way to her, made her aware of the situation. She was very receptive. Oh, I do apologize. I did notice that, she was alone. She, basically validated, but I'll pay more attention to it. I'll talk to the girls. At this point, I don't even know who the girls are. I didn't even ask Jay. I'm just like, okay, trusting the teacher to handle it. Kiss my baby, send her off to school for day 2. Same. Day 2, day 3. It didn't end here, y'all. This went on for weeks. And it got to the point where Jay was now showing signs that things just were not okay at school. It was the same type of stuff, same little girls every single day. So at this point, I'm spending a lot of time at this school because I want and I need answers. I need my child moved, or I need y'all to handle the little homie and her minions, because what is going on? I remember going up there one day and, I'm asking more questions. And now at this point, I have these kids' information. And one of the staff members mentioning to me that, oh, so-and-so, her mom's a police officer. So that might be why you aren't seeing any results. I'm sorry. I just want to know what that bit of information had to do with the price of tea in China, because I don't care if her mama is the queen of England. She gonna get up off my child. So her and her mama, officer so-and-so, can meet me in this office so we can have a conversation about her child. Eventually, y'all, this situation with Jay turns physical, and that is when I had it. At that point. I went to pick my baby up after school one day, and again, she's crying, and she's telling me that, they were after the bell rang, they're transitioning from the classroom to the after school care location, and them little hellions in that classroom, it was 3 of them that was giving her hell all these weeks, took my baby's belongings, snatched them, took off running down the hall, threw them in the trash can. While that was happening, another one of the Cedar Chuckies had her backed into the corner in the classroom so she couldn't go get her belongings with a book threatening her. Y'all, that is when I was absolutely okay. I was absolutely okay with Fox 8 coming up there, because I'm like, okay, somebody got to, it was a whole mess. Jordy had a very, very similar first day of school experience at her new school last year. I think it was last year. This year, I think it was last year. I switched their schools, and very similar experience. She's a little socialite, so thing she was looking forward to is meeting new friends. That was her thing. I can't wait to meet new friends. And she was immediately met with resistance from these little group of girls in her classroom. They was telling people that day, oh, she thinks she cute, because she's a new kid. She was raising her hand to answer questions on the first day, and they're snickering in the background saying, oh, we got to know it all in the class, and, telling other people not to be her friend. Same little group of girls was trying to jump her in the lunch line, not like physically jump her, because hold on, don't get too crazy, but, get in front of her in the lunch line. So she spent her first day of school crying, and a lot of days after that. So y'all have met my babies via the podcast so far, so you're very aware of their temperaments, and that was the whole point of introducing them. So when we talk about stuff like this, exactly the type of kids we're talking about. And if you haven't got a chance to hear that episode, take a second and go back and listen, and just kind of get an idea of who these kids are. So same deal with Jordy School. I'm up there, and I had to let them know, like, zero tolerance for my child being bullied, and that if this continued, you can expect to dislike me very much, because we're not doing this. Now I can already hear y'all through the microphone. Y'all cringing. Y'all like, T, what? Wait, what? They ain't fight back. Why you let them do this? Why you? I know. Ain't no way. I did this and I did that, and I get it. And that, my friends, is why we're here. We're gonna have a conversation today. We're gonna talk about the bullies today, and we're gonna get there. We are. So hold your mule. The other thing is, it's so easy to say, what you should have did, or what you would have did, or what should have been done, or, the better way to handle a situation until you're faced with that situation. And when we are talking about bullying, there are just so many factors to consider when handling a situation like bullying. Like, it's easy for me. It's not as easy for me to just go up to the school and start flipping tables. Maybe for some of you, that's your ministry. But it's not for me, because even in my anger, again, I'm a little reasonable, and I'm a lot rational. And I want long-term results in situations like this. So I like to play chess and not checkers. Again, it's easy for me to go up here and cuss everybody out, flip tables, tell them what I'm going to do. But what does that do for the child who's coming behind mine? Who needs the school, who needs the people in the situation to learn a long-term lesson about somebody being bullied. So before y'all jump through the microphone and get me and tell me all the ways that you would have handled these situations, just hear me out and stick with me for the rest of this podcast. Now, here's the thing. Bullying is, and it can be defined very differently by people. And I'm not even going to get into the whole technical definitions here of what Wikipedia and all that say. I'm just going to tell you from my experience, with my kids, how I define it based on what those experiences have been. So there's a difference for me in like normal petty school drama, especially like little girl drama, amongst little kids. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about she talked about me, or she's not my friend anymore, or, she hung out with this guy. That's not what I'm talking about. For me, a bully is somebody who is repeatedly attempting to intimidate or harass you on a daily basis. Like the people who go out of their way to make you feel uncomfortable or outcasted. Like, that's a bully. Bullying used to be like just this either or thing. Like it was either physical, where people are putting their hands on you, or, intimidating you physically or verbally, where they're talking about you, outcasting you and things like that. But now we have this added component of cyberbullying, which I feel like is worse and just way more harmful to kids these days. Because Lord have mercy, social media is probably the worst thing that could have happened to this generation of kids. My God, we all know as adults how harmful social media could be. So just imagine what the kids are going through. So in both of my kids' situations, my girls were experiencing, of course, more verbal bullying, and then physical at one point for Jay. No cyberbullying that I know of or that I've experienced with either one of them. And I've never experienced being bullied in my life. Now, JoJo don't count. The stuff with her was isolated. That was an isolated incident. And where she was a bully to other people, she was not to me. So I don't consider myself to have experienced a bullying situation. I was a very timid child. Yes, I was. I told y'all that. A very sensitive child. I told y'all that. But I wasn't overly tolerant. Like, I would let you get away with a couple chuckles and the hee-hees and the ha-has there, but it wasn't going to be too much chatter. It wasn't going to be too much of that chatter before I butt back up at you. Like, I told y'all about my family. I told y'all how I was raised out, they won't go on for that. It won't happen. And so even when I was scared, and there were multiple situations where I was scared, where I'm like, oh Jesus, please Lord, don't let her do it. But I better not act like I was scared. Like, it won't happen. And if I did, if my mama and my daddy found out that I went to school and let somebody punk me, oh, I was going to get it when I got home. So I might as well stand up and just do what I had to do in that situation. But I was quiet. I was a little timid. I was sweet, kind, all the things. But you won't finna say too much to me without me popping back. So I've never been bullied. And because I've never been bullied, because of how I was raised, my immediate response to my kids when these situations would come up was whoop they tail. Like, whoop they, smack them. Like, what? Like, stop letting them talk to you like that. Like, that was my immediate response. Like, what are y'all doing? Like, frustration. Like, what are you doing? Say something. But my kids won't be like that. They weren't built like that. And actually, because of how differently I've raised my kids from how I was raised, like, it's just truly not in their character to react that way. Both of these situations for my kids completely changed who they were and their personalities. Like, being able to recognize the early signs of bullying with them were pretty easy because they were so different. I mentioned earlier that Jay, of course, she told me verbally, and then there was some more obvious signs of like her coming home crying. But some of the more subtle things that were happening with her were things like she was pretending to be sick. The child was never, she wanted to go to school even if she was sick. Like, if she really was sick and I told her she had to stay home, she would cry. Like, so, but she wasn't wanting to go to school anymore. Or I would get frequent calls from the school saying, oh, Jay is feeling this kind of way. Can you pick her up early? And I'm sitting here like, something ain't right. Like, something ain't right. And I knew what was going on, but in my mind, I'm saying like, this is bigger than, oh, she don't want to be my friend, or she don't want to talk to me. Like, I knew it was something bigger because she was changing. She was withdrawing socially, like in social settings, not just in school. Like, she was starting to withdraw, and even more at home. Her confidence, her self-esteem, it was plummeting. And I'm like, who is this kid? Like, who is this kid? Her grades were starting to be affected because she was spending a lot of time in her class just kind of ruminating over what was happening. Like, Jay went from being my outgoing, spunky, fearless child to an introvert with social anxiety. She no longer wanted to go to school. She lost her motivation and her drive to even be there. And she developed a mistrust for her peers. She wasn't willing to make friends as easily or eagerly as she was before. And it was very similar with Jordy. Jordy talked to you a lot, you guys, in her episode about some of this, and she was a little more resilient and is a little more resilient than Jay is or was. It hasn't changed her zeal for getting to know people. She still enjoys that, and it hasn't caused her to be an introvert. However, she is no longer confident in being herself, or as confident in being herself as she was before. Like, that confidence she had about this is who I am, and is fading. It's fading. She's becoming a people pleaser. She told y'all about that in her episode. And in her relationship, and she believes that in order to make friends or in order to fit in, she has to conform and do what they want her to do. The other signs with Jordy was she was crying a lot at school, like visiting the counselor's office almost daily, not wanting to go to school. She was becoming a lot more irritable and agitated than normal, and anxiety was creeping up, and it was very severe when it came to school. And she started struggling through class, and it wasn't because, of course, she was spending a lot of time out of classroom. She was wanting to go to the counselor, or she was in class crying. So those are just some of the telltale signs for me and my kids, where I realized, like, this was just deeper than, again, that petty, she not my friend, she not talking to me no more. Like, everything about who they were was changing. Now, let me tell you something. My kids, they are easy targets for bullies. And let me tell you why. Because we are raising them to be good humans. We're raising them to be good humans. And I genuinely teach them to love other people. Like, I don't tolerate them gossiping about other people. I hold them accountable. When I witness them doing like people wrong, I teach them to empathize with other people's situations and not, talk about or feel bigger or better than other people. And I don't regret raising them to be good to others. But what I do probably regret is raising them to be what we would consider too nice, I guess, and not more assertive as they should be. Like, that's a lesson that I'm learning in parenting through situations like this, and a lesson I also had to learn myself later in life, because hello, I'm T and I'm a recovering people pleaser. Like, I had to learn that. I had to learn to be more assertive as I've gotten older, a trait that I didn't have when I was younger. The other reason that they are easy targets is because we don't conform over here. Let me tell you something. They will not have 27-inch bust-down lace fronts with coffin-shaped nails and a crop top in middle school. Like, it's not happening. It's not happening. I'm sorry. It's not happening. I'm a millennial mom that still very much believes that kids should be kids. Like, they should look like kids. They should dress like kids. So I don't want mine growing up too fast and moving too fast. And they shouldn't look like some of my peers look at 35. Like, they shouldn't be looking like that in middle school. And they get tired of hearing me say, I am not so-and-so mama. Like, I am not so-and-so's mama and never will be. So I don't care what so-and-so is doing. And that's a hill I'm willing to join them, sit with them on, and allow them to be super mad in their super mad case, because I'm not budging. So that makes them a really easy target for other kids to pick and, say whatever they're going to say to them. Like, I'm not sure what's happening with our generation and their kids. And when I say our generation, I'm a millennial. So us millennials and our kids, and why this stuff became so acceptable. Like, partially I blame social media as a huge part of this. Because like, our middle school photos, y'all who are listening, who up here with me up in the closer to 40 age, like, we had on overalls and Mickey Mouse shirts. Like, we had on them polo collar shirts with them big old stripes and some Saucony. Like, I'm just confused. I'm so confused. We have some New Balances, like maybe some Air Force Ones as we got a little older. Like, I don't understand why these kids look like they're going to the club. I don't understand it. I never will. And that's no judgment if that's your thing. But kids like mine will never fit in because of this. And it's just not happening. We don't glorify labels over here. That's the other reason they're easy targets, because I don't make things like their clothes or labels or materialistic items important in my home. Like, my kids gonna always step out. They're gonna look nice. They're gonna be cute. They're gonna be put together, as best as I can for that day. But they not gonna have one of the latest or the greatest, because that's not what we value. So it makes them targets. And the reason I know it makes them targets is because that has been like a first sign for me that something is going on in school. Like, I will never forget, same situation, same grade, Jay coming home in 3rd grade and asking me and my husband for a pair of truck fit jeans. Let's pause for the cause there, because do y'all remember truck fit? If you don't, then thank your God, because what? I'm sorry, you want what? Come again. I don't know if y'all remember this brand, but nothing Truck Fit made at the time was remotely close. I don't know what they make now. I don't know if they still make clothes, but at the time, nothing that Truck Fit made was remotely close to anything that I would have put on my child back in these days. Like, no tea, no shade to anybody who rocked Truck Fit, but it just wasn't my thing. Like, Jay was a Target, Children's Place, Oshkosh B'gosh, and Walmart, baby. Like, Truck Fit, it won't happening. And how do you even know what that is in 3rd grade? And it was that moment that I knew, like, something is happening. Something is happening at the schoolhouse, because she don't know about no Truck Fit. We don't even use label names in my house. Like, we're not like over here saying, oh, we gotta go get the, I don't know, Sperry 5000s. We don't. You need some shoes, we're going to get some shoes. Like, you need some clothes, we're going to get some clothes. Like, we don't even associate our items by their label in my house. So for her to come home and ask for Truck Fit, I was like, okay, yeah, something happening. And it's girl, you don't even know what that is. Like, you don't know what that is, and why does it matter? were the conversations we were having. And it was the same experience with Jordy even a few months ago. Jordy is the kid. She don't care where you get her clothes from. Like, she's just eternally grateful for everything. She's just grateful when she opens her eyes. I'm just so grateful that you're my mommy. I'm just so grateful that I'm in this life. Like, that's who she is. So her clothes, she could care less. Like, as long as she look cute. She is a little prissy, so, you know, she just want to look cute. But she don't care about a tag. And Lord, she came home a couple months ago and was like, Mommy, can you buy me some Dunks? I'm sorry, what? Like, I know what Dunks are. Her sister has Dunks, you know, the oldest one, and she's older now. So Jay is definitely into, I want this type of shoe. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But I'm like, now I know this little one, though, she ain't get that language from my house. Because we just, again, we don't walk around saying, I need to get me a pair of these. Like, we don't do that. So I knew something at school was happening. And she was no longer satisfied with the little Justice sneakers that she begged me for. She begged me for the Justice brand sneakers. And now those were no longer good enough. Those were no longer good enough. She don't want to put on my feet no more. And I'm sitting here like, something is happening. Here we go. For me, the problem with bullying begins at home. This is a learned behavior from children where sometimes, like I said about JoJo, like, the parents are their first bullies. Or, you know, they're being raised by a bully. A lot of times, kids that are coming from abusive homes or coming, you know, from disadvantaged situations, they're coming to school and they're reenacting either the behaviors they're seeing at home or being, you know, reenacted, or, you know, reenacting the behaviors that are being done to them, or their frustrations about their situations. They're coming to school and that's where they're getting that out. You know, they're getting those frustrations out on the children, or they're trying to get ahead of being teased themselves. Like, that's what I really feel like is the majority of what we see. And I really believe that those are the worst case scenarios of it, though. Those kids are like worst case. The ones who aren't worst case, those are the ones that I feel like they're just being raised by the mean girls, or the mean, I'm using mean girls, but I mean just if the parent is mean, but for the sake of this, we're talking about girls. Those are the kids who are being raised by the mean girls. Because let's talk about it for a second. There are adult mean girls, like even to this day. Like, even to this day, as we speak, in the year of our Lord 2024, there are whole adults who are still mean girls. And if they weren't the bully in school, then they were definitely, and still are, the you can't sit with me type. Like, they didn't have to be the bully who was hitting kids and doing that, but they are definitely the you can't sit with me type. The ones that are raising their kids with this elitist attitude of better than and you're less than. And most of the time that stuff is rooted in like real superficial stuff, like beauty standards and clothes and statuses. Like, they aren't mature enough to know half the stuff that they put out. They're learning this from the people who are raising them. Like, they don't know what they're talking about. They just hear you say it, right? And that's a big part of this, is what they're hearing and what they're witnessing. Like, anybody who know me well and they know my girls and my intention and my heart behind raising my girls, they know I despise mean girl culture. Listen, you heard it. I am very funny with who I allow my kids to be around. I'm funny with who I'm around, what I expose them to, etc. Because with my girls, especially because they've grown up in the dance and cheer world, you know, dance moms, cheer moms, I saw this crap a lot. And not just in those worlds, it's everywhere. Y'all, it's everywhere. And I used to emphasize all the time to, you know, those moms that we are role models. Like, we are the role models, especially those of us who are raising girls. Like, it's sickening for me to see women act that way, even more so when they have little girls. Like, I don't understand it. I've never been a mean girl. And if I was ever mean to you in life, I apologize. I really do. But I've never been a mean girl. I hate mean girl culture. So I'm very picky, and I'm very, you know, strategic with who I associate myself with, who I'm with. If you give me mean girl energy and mean girl behavior, I don't care if it's not toward me, if it's toward somebody else, you gotta go. Like, I can't. I can't do it. Like, gone, because I don't like that. Like, I'm just not that person. But back to, you know, the modeling we're using with our kids. If your kids hear you name calling if they hear you gossiping or witness you being mean to somebody else, like, guess what? They're going to do that. They're going to do that because you've normalized it. They're going to repeat that behavior. And I'm going to get into this a little more in the Friends episode, but I'm really, really just passionate about this, especially with raising little girls. Like, I hate the stigma that girls are catty or girls can't get along with each other, because that's just not true. Like, as women, we have to show our kids how to be friends. We have to show them how to resolve conflict amongst other women. And if I catch my kids doing or saying anything remotely close to bullying or putting other people down or looking down on other people, like, I call them on it. I shut them down immediately, because it's not happening, not on my watch. And again, I'm gonna get off this tangent because I can go on this tangent forever and ever. I really, really despise the mean girl culture, and I feel like a part of the bullies, especially these little girls I'm seeing, at my kids' school, it's because the parents are. It's because the parents are the mean girls. The other thing with kids, bullies, are they are being raised by people who aren't holding them accountable. So if they're not those worst case scenario kids who are coming from abusive homes and stuff like that. They're in a home where they're not being held accountable. They're the ones who, they don't believe their kids do no wrong, or even when the wrong is done, they're justifying it by it being someone else's fault and not the kid's fault. And I'm not that type of parent. I don't put nothing past my kids. Like, nothing. I don't care how cute they are, how well behaved they are with people or whatever. Like, I don't put anything past them, especially when they're not in my presence. I don't know what they're capable of doing. Like, I know what they show me, but I don't know what they're capable of doing. And even in the midst of these bullying situations, like, the first thing out of my mouth, I'm very huge on accountability in my home and with my kids. So the first thing out of my mouth when my kids come home and tell me something about a bullying situation is, I want to know your role. If you had a role, what role did you play in this situation? Like, they're not innocent in every situation. Jordy, for example, she has very impulsive behaviors at times, and those impulsive behaviors can be irritating to other kids sometimes. So although their responses to her are okay and they're not justified, I also hold her accountable by teaching her, like, hey, you have to be mindful of self-regulation. You have to be mindful of when you're feeling a certain way and when you're doing this or acting like this, and how your behaviors are affecting other people. So no, they shouldn't have said this to you, and no, they shouldn't have outcasted you or did it, whatever. But here's your role in it, and here's how you can control your part in this. And if you're one of them people who are just not sure, you're like, hey, T, I hear you. I don't know if my child is bullied. I don't know. They ain't coming home being bullied. How will I know? Well, here's some signs. Here's some signs to pay attention to recognize if you have the bully living in your home. Because sometimes you just don't know, right? Pay attention to how your kids use aggression or how they feel about aggression. Like, are they super comfortable with being aggressive? Like, are like first nature, second nature out of their mouth? They're like, hey, I'm gonna smack you, I'm gonna punch you, or how do they feel about aggression? Do they like it? Do they feed off of it? Like, pay attention to stuff like that. Pay attention to their need to control or dominate other people. Like, listen in. How are they talking to their friends? Like, what are they saying? What kind of language are they using with their friends? Are they trying to control everything? Are they telling the friend group what to wear, when to wear? They having a sleepover and they telling everybody what to do, and watch the other people's response to that. Like, see what's happening. Are they hot-tempered? Do they have a temper? Do they lash out at people? Are they bringing home stuff that's not theirs a lot? Like, or things that were being, quote unquote, given to them often. Pay attention if they use mean girl language or behavior toward other people, turning their nose up, saying things. I don't let my kids say, I can't even give you an example because they know not to do that. Like, we don't play that, looking down our nose at people. My kids would never, they would never look at another child and say something like, ooh, where she get that jacket from? Or they don't even use that kind of language. Like, they don't even do that. The other thing about, realizing if your child is the one who's the bully, look through their phone. These kids got phones and electronics nowadays. Look, pay attention, read the conversations. What is your child role in the conversation? Like, half the stuff that I discovered be going on with my kids, it be in their phone. Especially Jay, she the oldest one. Jordy has a phone, but she doesn't get it all the time. But I still check it. Hey, read it. If you depend on the receiving end, you can see it right there in the text message. You can see, oh, my child a bully. My child out here causing havoc. Just read the phone conversations. It's real simple. It's real simple. It's pretty exhausting trying to teach my kids to stand up for themselves, defend themselves, clap back, etc. It's definitely one of those highlights of motherhood that I don't enjoy. It's also one of those areas where I feel helpless because I can't protect them from people. Like, I can't protect them from other people. And I have tried all the things, y'all. I have given my kids permission to lose their everlasting minds. Like, flip it all over, tear the classroom up, turn all of this over, right? And show people, like, you ain't finna talk to me and deal with me like that. And I be telling them, you ain't gonna get in trouble. You ain't gonna get in trouble. Like, just do it. Tear the whole class up. But do you think they did it? Do you think they're gonna do it? Of course not. Of course not. They're not gonna do it. My husband used to get so mad at me because I just said I tried all the things, y'all. And I tried the sweet approach. I tried to tell the teacher. I tried the, hey, let's talk about how they hurt your feelings. I tried all of that. Ain't none of it work. I tried to ignore them. You know, they're just hurting. I tried that. It won't working. So I got to the point where they was coming home saying, Mommy, so-and-so said this about me. And my response was, tell them they mama. Tell them they mama, and I'm sick of it. Like, I'm sick of it. And he would, don't say that. Don't tell them that. Well, what else you want me to do? What else you want me to do? Because I've run out of resources. Like, they ain't gonna put their hands on them. They ain't gonna say nothing back. Yo, mama. Like, it's simple enough. Don't tell the kids to say that. Don't tell them, yeah, but that's where I'm at. Like, your mother. That's it. That's all I got. Because I'm sick of it. But although I can't control how my kids respond, like, as much as I want them to go back and just be like, your mother, or you bald head, I don't know. I can control how I respond and how I advocate for them. And again, if you've never met me, like I said earlier, I am a mama bear, like capital mama bear. You best believe I'm coming. I'm bringing the receipts. I'm walking away with results. Like, that's it. I specialize in results. Like, my kids' school have always had a love-hate relationship with me. They've always had this love-hate relationship with me. Like, they love that I'm an involved parent, and it also makes them nervous to see me coming because they don't know what I'm coming for, and they know when I'm coming, I'm standing on all the toes that I got and all the business. Like, I'm standing there. I'm there. I'm here. They don't like to see me come. My husband be warning them. If he got to handle it, he always tell the school, listen, you want me, you don't want my wife. He will say it all the time. He'd be like, you want to deal with me, trust me, let's try to fix it with me before I have to go get her, because I'm coming, right? For example, in Jay's bullying situation, I was documenting and tracking everything that was happening from day one. Number one, I'm a social worker. That's just what we do. Like, we document for a living. So I was tracking from day one. I tracked every phone conversation, every date, every time, everybody I spoke with, what they said, what they promised, everything. I had initially requested her to be moved out the classroom pretty soon, like at least week 1 or week 2 into the situation. I'm like, move her. Where can we go? And it wasn't done. Like, schools don't like moving kids and all these things. But when stuff turned physical, oh yeah, that was, we was done. She was moved immediately. She was moved that next day because y'all not gonna play in my face or hers. The part that I didn't discuss, that I left out of this conversation, is even though they moved her classroom and things improved in terms of her classmates, her new teacher ended up being a bully, like toward her. Like, her new teacher was the worst, and then she ended up being the problem. Long story short, because we ain't got time to get in all that today, it just made things worse for my child. So eventually, I won't play with them. I ended up coming up to that school. I had a whole manila folder full of documentation and had already spoke to the superintendent of the school system, because who you not going to play with is me. And I want her removed out the school. And I already told them what y'all got going on over here, and I already showed them how y'all ain't on y'all stuff. Like, we are our kids' biggest advocate. Like, situations like this with your kids, with my kids in particular, they make you feel so helpless. And the best thing you can do for your child is advocate. Because we can't force our kids. I'm not promoting or forcing my children to, use violence to get their point across. That's not what I want. I will encourage them to resort to that if they have to. Now, you're going to defend yourself and protect yourself, but that ain't what I'm promoting. So for me, the best way to help them is to advocate and to show them, like, where you feel like you can't do it, mommy got you. Stay on these schools' necks, y'all. Stay on their necks. And if you have to, and if you have the ability to, remove your child from the situation. Remove them. Like, have them move classrooms, or worst case schools. I know that's not easy for everybody, but if you can do it, move them. I hear horror stories. I hate the horror stories through social media of these kids and their bullying incidents where parents do speak up or out and the schools just don't respond. These schools have a responsibility. They have a responsibility in situations like this when bullying is involved. And it's actually a law across all 50 states that whenever you use the term bullying with the school, if you say bullying, whether it's a true bullying situation or not, they are legally required to document it. They must document it, they must investigate it, and they must follow up within a certain amount of days. If they don't, guess what? You can sue them. You can sue the whole school system for not following up. There was a recent story I heard of a bullying situation online, and it was sad. All the stories be sad, man, but this particular child, there was this drama going on with these group of kids and all this, and the mama kept the kid out of school for a few days and warned the school, because the kids that came to her house, they told the school that day, like, these kids are going to try to jump my child. Now listen, I'm not judging mama, because again, you can't say what would be done in that situation, but I'm sitting here thinking like, look, if they're going to fight my child, I think I'd have hung out at school that day and I'd have went class to class. But again, no judgments, because we don't know. You never know what you're going to do in a situation. So mama called the school, went up there, told the school, like, look, they may try to jump my child today. I just want to make y'all aware. I need y'all to keep y'all eyes on them. They didn't. They jumped the child. It was all over social media, the video and everything. The child brought a weapon with him to school. Bought a weapon because they knew that they were going to be jumped, and stabbed a couple of them kids who was jumped out. I don't remember if it was a girl or a boy, but stabbed a couple of them, and then the child went to jail because one of the kids died. Again, sad situation all the way around, but it's just like, at what point are you going to trust the school to protect? The school has a responsibility. If she was there and she told you, I feel like the school should have did more to try to protect that child. And I don't feel like, although unfortunately another child lost their life, that child should have been punished, because there was so many warnings. Let me tell you something. Again, I don't play that. There was a recent incident at my child's school, my oldest, Jay, at her school with a child, right? And it was some petty stuff that started outside of school. It started, outside of school, but of course it lingered into school. And Jay had been telling me, coming home every day, Mom, she said this. And it started off as that petty stuff I talked about. It started off as the petty stuff for, oh, she rolled her eyes at me. Oh, she said something. Now, we don't pay attention to the petty stuff, because petty stuff ain't bullying, So her rolling her eyes or her talking about you, that ain't necessarily bullying. We talking about persistent, behaviors and stuff like that. So then it gets to the point where homegirl, now we're switching up. Now you following my child. Now you coming and sitting across from her in the cafeteria and saying stuff. So I'm telling Jay, now, all right, ain't too much ignoring we're gonna do. You gonna have to do something about it. So I'm gonna speed the story up a little bit. They get in the classroom, and homegirl across the room just popping off at my child. And I done gave my child permission to say what she got to say. She done already let everybody in the school know the situation. She's let the dean of students know, who's over the culture and the behavior of the school. Ain't nobody did nothing yet. Okay, let's just say that. So now they're in the classroom and something popping off, and my child blurts out some things. She texted me, so she said, Mommy, I said a cuss word. She said, Mommy, I said a cuss word. I'm sorry. But the girl, tried to pop off at her. She said something back. They tried to give my child attention. Let me tell y'all something. Didn't I just tell y'all I was a mama bear? Then I said I was a mama bear, and I'm standing 10 toes. That child, I was at this school the next day. I said, give me this here detention slip. Because what happened to homegirl? Nothing. Give me that detention slip. Girl, I was up there the next morning. We in the conference room. I said, hey, good morning. Hey, nice to meet you. You can go ahead and take this back. You can have this right here. You can have this back. Because let me tell you something. She's been telling y'all for weeks. And he acknowledged that she was telling them. He acknowledged, yeah, but, I was telling her to ignore. Well, you didn't do nothing about it. Homegirl didn't stop. And my child had every right to defend herself. So you can have this detention slip back, sir. Here, kind sir, take that. She won't be going to detention. And yeah, no, absolutely not. Like, you got to teach these schools. And I told him, I said, let me tell you something. I've walked my child through all the right steps. I said that to the school. I've told her, do this. Tell y'all she did that. Ignore her. She did that. I said, now when I give her permission to drag her down this hallway, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And that's exactly what I said to them. I don't want to hear it. When I give her permission, I don't want y'all suspending her. Don't, because you have had at least a week or two's notice that homegirl been bugging. And it won't till she said something. And the teacher ain't even right there the girl. Y'all, can y'all tell that listen, I can't stand it. Another thing, show up. Go to these school events. Eat lunch with your kids. Pay attention. These little kids ain't scared. These little, I don't even know what's the name of this generation, but these little 2024 kids, they're not scared. Whoever they showing themselves to be when you ain't there, they're going to show up while you there. Sitting right there next to your child. They still going to do it. Watch. Go pay attention. Watch the dynamics. Become immersed in your child's world and see what they're experiencing. See the world through their eyes. Pay attention to what's happening. Are they mingling with other kids? Like, are there other signs that, are showing up for you? Do they have friends when you go up to the school? Pay attention. There's other signs too that you can pay attention about whether your kid is being bullied or not, that I didn't mention because they weren't necessarily, related to my children's situation, but unexplained bruises. Now, God forbid your baby come home with bruises, because I hate for y'all to have to hurt somebody, but unexplained bruises, missing items, personal items, they coming home without their stuff and saying somebody took it, stuff like that. Their grades dropping, even stuff like not ever being invited to stuff, parties or events or birthday parties, not talking about friends at school or people at school. Pay attention to that stuff, y'all. Pay attention to these phones. Like, I cannot stress enough to pay attention to these kids' phones. Like, social media is a breeding ground for bullying. And it's a world that as children, we didn't know much about. Like, in my time, we were just getting exposed to social media. There was some slam pages in my high school through notebooks. And then when we finally got Black Planet Child, we still didn't know how to add because there was some slam pages on Black Planet. But that was like the extent. It's worse now. Y'all know what these kids got access to. It's so much worse. And with social media, you can't delete it. It stays around. It never goes away. So pay attention to these kids' phones. The other thing is, as a therapist, I've witnessed cases where not just kids are thinking about suicide, but they have actually made attempts, y'all, attempts. I am meeting with the kids after they've made the attempt to kill themselves and they failed. It is the most heartbreaking thing for me to see and witness these babies who believe that ending their life, like, listen to how big the ending their life is the answer to ending the pain of somebody picking with them or taunting and torturing them through these incidents at school. Like, I need y'all to understand how real this is for these children. Like, for us, it's one thing. We were a different kind of generation. We were built a little different, but you got to pay attention to these kids. And it was one thing to sit across the desk and hear these stories. It was another thing when it was my child. Last March, we went through this. Last March, it was my child. The school called and they said that, a suicide note dropped out of Jordy's backpack. There was a note that said that she wanted to kill herself. Well, I don't know if y'all know the protocol for that stuff, but can't go back to school. Gotta go have a psychiatric evaluation. And here I am. I'm a whole director in my field. So the place I have to take her to, people know me there. And it wasn't even about that, because I cared nothing about that. I was just so floored that my child was now at this point. And we had a lot of conversation with Jordy that day. It was a lot of conversation even with the therapist and stuff that night. She was getting evaluated and she didn't know the extent of what she was saying. Again, social media, y'all, this generation is different. Suicide is something that is such a norm for them to say and talk about it. They don't even see nothing wrong with it. And that's part of the problem. Like, so she didn't even know what she was saying and the extent of what suicide meant. She just knew that this hurts. I want it to stop. And I just want to kill myself, because that's what her note said. I just want to kill myself. She said to me and the therapist that night and her father, like, I'm tired of people calling me weird. I'm tired of people, not wanting me to be a part. And I just want to be like, it was, trying not to tear up, y'all. Like, it was hard. It was hard to watch my baby, because she's still a baby, want to talk about ending her girl. And I mean, language that she couldn't have got but from her peers and things like that. And immediately feeling defeated as a mom, because I'm like, I'm a whole therapist out here and I'm sitting up in a behavior health center with my child. Like, it's real. And that's my whole point. Like, we laugh and we joke through this podcast, but I need y'all to understand how real this is, how real, bullying is, and how real these situations are for these kids. We have to find a better way to help kids cope through these situations, and we can no longer rely on some of the old school methods, like the sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt. Well, that's just not true, guys. And it doesn't work, because if we're honest, words do hurt. They do. And if they didn't, then half of y'all wouldn't be posting subliminals, because the words hurt, and that's what you're doing on the social media, because you're trying to hurt somebody's feelings. Side eye. Like, you're literally attempting to hurt somebody with your words. So, and I'm not gonna front, like, words hurt. Words still hurt me. Words still hurt me as a full-grown adult who, goes to therapy, who knows my emotions and how to handle my feelings, and they still hurt me. So imagine what they do for little people who still trying to understand their emotions in this big old world that we're a part of. That's why people use words, because they hurt. So stop telling kids that words don't hurt. They do. And even if not words, sometimes just mean girl actions that purposely attempt to keep you isolated and outcasted. Like, I might forget a lot of things. I might forget words. I might forget some names, Jesus. I never forget. I never, ever forget how people make me feel. I never forget, and I've never forgotten. So, again, imagine as an adult, if we're feeling that way, how children are feeling when people are making them feel a certain kind of way. And we have to stop pumping some of this old school thinking into the children and really validate their feelings. That's number one. And then teach them how to cope through what's happening to them in the moment. Like, honor the fact that this generation is up against way worse than we were as a generation. Like, what's minor to us, what's petty for us, we talk about all the time, like, oh, they'll never make it. They wouldn't have made it in our generation. But they're not there. They're in theirs. So this is very big for them. Very big for them, especially considering how much they are up against and how much they are exposed to. Y'all know TikTok too much for me sometimes as an adult. So imagine putting a little brain in front of a TikTok. Like, I have no idea what it's like to live in their world, and I don't pretend to be, or I don't pretend to know. So again, what can we do? What's within our control as the parents, as the family members, as the sisters, as the cousins, as the friends to these little people? And how can we help? Well, number one, we validate their feelings. Y'all, this is even hard for me still. It's hard. As a mom, as a mama bear, the last thing I want to see is my kids' feelings being hurt, especially over some dumb stuff, right? Like, there are times when I am sympathetic and I am, on my gentle parent wave of, oh my gosh, well, let's just break this down and process that. And then other times I'm going clean off. Because why you let her say that to you? And why did you? Listen, I be fussing about them even allowing this stuff to bother them. And then I always feel bad afterwards, because the reality is it does hurt them. As much as it's frustrating me, and that's what I'm responding out of frustration. Like, nah, don't even tell me. Don't come crying to me because I told you to stop being her friend. Like, it's horrible. And I always feel horrible. But the fact is, it hurts. It's hurting them. And I'm just frustrated because I just want them to stand up for themselves, right? The reality is I don't want to try to make them into somebody they're not. And because I can't make them stand up for themselves, I'm taking it out on them instead of just validating what they're feeling in the moment. The second thing is advocate. I've already went on this tangent. I've told y'all. But I can't emphasize enough to stay on their necks, whoever that neck may be, the school, the community, I don't care who it is, the church. Stay on their necks. Don't allow schools especially to ignore it. Show your kids that you have their back. Show them you got their back, because they're more likely to stand up for themselves when they know you have their back. Make them tell you who it is. The schools ain't gonna give you the parent info. Trust me, I've tried. They ain't gonna get it to you, but social media is a heck of a beast. You can find anybody you want to, and I'm a whole private eye. So find them parents, message them, text them, something. Tell them about themselves. Advocate. Act like my mama did and lose your brain cells and show up on their front porch. Hey, show up on the front porch. Also, keep the lines of communication open with your kids. Pay attention to their behavior. Keep up with the phones, the messaging, the social media. I'm all in my kids' business. Like, I'm sorry. I ain't none of that privacy. You can get all that when you move out of my house. I'm in their business, okay? I'm in their business. I need to know what's going on. I need to know what kids are saying, what they're doing. If they I want to know. So keep them lines of communication open. Ask them what's happening at school. If you notice something is changing, ask them. Show up. Go up there. See what's going on. Also teach them to be assertive and stand up for themselves. Like, I still give my kids permission to lose their absolute minds if they have to at the end of the day. I don't care. Whatever it takes for you to stand up for yourself, because I don't want them being walked over or pushed over. If my child defends himself against the bully, like, we're going to get some ice cream. We're going to celebrate, because why not? Because why not? You did what I asked you to do. Like, you defended yourself. It might not have been in the way that I wanted you to, but hey, you did it. So we're going to celebrate. We are going to celebrate. The other thing is, don't teach them to conform. I see a lot of people do this, like trying to make them conform or make them be, whoever the society wants them to be. Validate and celebrate who they are uniquely to themselves. Like, find ways to support and celebrate who they are. Or put them in the crowds and around people who are like them and show them that they're not alone. There are people out here who are like you, who think like you, who act like you, who dress like you, and you don't have to conform. Like, to me, teaching them to conform only reinforces the bully's behavior, that who they are is not okay the way it is. And it just decreases the child's self-esteem, because that's not who they are. You're making them be somebody else. And lastly, y'all know I was going to say this one. Don't be afraid to get them help. Don't be afraid to get them help. Sometimes I don't understand my kids or why they're reacting the way they are, and I just want them to do and be something different. And in that moment, I know I'm not the person for the job. I'm not the person for the job. I've reached my max benefit of what I could do to help them. So you know what I do? I'm going to find them some help. Somebody else who can help them get through this. Therapists can help in this area. They don't have that emotional investment with our children that we have. They can give some more logical and sound advice than we can. Some other tools other than flip the darn table over and tell them your mama. Like, that's not the best advice, but they can maybe help, okay? They can maybe help. So they can help them stay out of juvenile detention. And if they end up there, it's okay. Mommy coming. She gonna come visit and she gonna put something on your books. And again, if your child is the bully and you don't subscribe to this type of behavior, because let's be real, some of y'all like it. Like this, some of y'all thrive off of being mean girls. I don't understand it. That's your thing, not mine. But if you realize your child is the bully and you're like, hey, we don't do that over here and I don't want that, then start having conversations with your kids. Start pointing out the issue in their behaviors. Educate them on how harmful their behaviors are to people and make them apologize if need be. Take them and make them apologize to these kids. Like, make them start over fresh. Make the school aware of your child's behavior if they're the bully. Tell the school, my child bully. Watch them. Hold them accountable. Like, call me if you see them saying something. Like, do the opposite of what us parents who do have kids experiencing that, do the opposite of what we're doing. Like, alert the school. Stay on their necks about your child. Make sure your child ain't disrupting and interrupting somebody else's peace. You can advocate for that child too to receive the help they need as well. Like, they may need something. There's something going on that's making them do this. So you know your child better than anybody else, and you know what they need and what they don't need to support better behavior. I'm still navigating this area very, very heavily even today, and I still don't have some of the solutions on how to teach my kids to stand up for themselves or how to not be bullied. But I won't apologize for instilling in them the values of loving and treating others with kindness and respect in spite of how they treat them. Because over here, even if your mama ain't raised you right, there's always room to sit with us. Jordy, what do you want people to know about what it was like being bullied, and what would you say to people who are bullies?
Okay, what would I would say to people that have been bullied, I would say that I feel how you feel because I've been bullied before. I feel how you feel, and trust me, you're gonna get through it, and just keep pushing, believe in yourself that you're gonna get through it. And things that I would say to people that are bullies, I would say that sometimes you have to reflect on yourself and talk about and reflect on what is going on in your personal life, because sometimes you are kind of like reflecting off your problems to other people, and that's not cool. That's hurting other people. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Jay, what do you want people to know about how it felt for you to go through bullying, and what would you say to people who are bullies?
Going through bullying was very hard, and I lost all of my self-esteem and confidence going through it. But throughout the years, I gained my self-esteem back and some of my confidence. And I will say that bullying still has an effect on me sometimes, because they'll, like, for example, talk about my weight and stuff, and that still, like, bothers me to this day. So, like, that's something that, like, still has an effect on me. And what I would say to bullies out there is, I think that they should think before they say stuff to people, because you never know what somebody's going through, and your words can be someone's, like, turning point to, leaving, But yeah, I just feel like they should think before they say something. Yeah, that's it. Bye.
I keep telling y'all, this parent stuff ain't gonna get no easier. Just add this topic to another chapter of This Ain't Come with No Manual. And if you're a mama who has a child that has experienced bullying like I have, there's still time and there is still room to help these babies as well as yourself to get through it. Stay on their necks, y'all. Advocate, talk to your babies, stay all up in their business. You can get through this, and even if you can't, there's help available to help you and your babies navigate this situation. But as always, y'all, thanks for listening. And before you go, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe through whatever streaming platform you're listening from. Make sure you're following Brave Black Mom, the podcast, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube's, Lord Jesus. Make sure you're following the Brave Black Mom, the podcast, on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for any announcements and show updates. Lastly, don't forget to leave a review. Tell the people if you're liking this or not. Listen, over here, you can always sit with the people. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. I'll talk to y'all soon. Until then, just breathe.